Invisible by D.R. Fuller. Narrated by Megan Joy. Prologue. Stockton, Utah, 1969. Art listened again as the weatherman forecasted triple-digit temperatures. Perhaps it was a case of shooting the messenger, but he really detested the guy, especially since he was positive there was a hint of humor in his voice. Then, before switching back to the sober-minded newswoman, he said, "But Sandy, it's a dry heat." Art grimaced at the resulting laughter. It was only mid-morning, and the stifling heat was already oppressive. With sweat dripping down his stubby beard, he leaned back in his '52 Dodge pickup, wishing for the 100th time he had installed a fan on the dash. Of course, the thought of having air conditioning did not even occur to him. His truck barely ran anyway. The strain would have sent the old girl straight to the junkyard. Stockton was a small, dusty town just south of Tooele and southwest of Salt Lake City. It was not his home, but after Vietnam, he had ended up there by default. As a veteran, and most men were veterans back then, he had hired on with the Department of Defense at an army depot 10 miles to the south. It stored World War II chemical munitions, very nasty stuff. Stockton became his adopted home after they finally started tearing down Deseret, a small town built for the workforce. Eventually, he bought a humble one-bedroom house in Stockton and had lived there ever since. Arthur Brown never married and, as a rule, stayed to himself. Some said it was the war, others suspected he was just plain crazy. For Art's part, he did not much care what people thought. His hitch in Vietnam had just about purged him of any respect for his fellow man. He had seen atrocities there that plagued him with nightmares ever since. He hoped the passage of time would somehow dim the horror. It never did. Today he still worked at the depot, but spent much of his spare time going over the mountains mining silver. He liked to fancy himself a prospector. Deep down, he believed he would eventually find the mother lode, notwithstanding the fact that the mining boom had ended in the last century. In his saner moments, Art figured if anything was crazy about him, then that had to be it. He had attempted to shake it off countless times, but it always came back like a bad addiction. His main equipment was an old World War II metal detector purchased from an Army surplus store in Salt Lake. Of course, there were new ones on the market.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?